Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Welcome. Hey, everybody. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Zeros on Heroes, Collateral Benefit. My name is Mike Mercadal. With me, as always, is
Will Watkins.
Hey, Will Watkins. Happy Sunday, everybody. Thank you, everybody who is tuning in live. Thank you, everybody who likes, shares, and subscribes our stuff. Thank you, everybody who joins the conversation in the chat. And thank you for everybody who has emailed us questions and things. We would be doing this if you weren't doing that, because it helps us, and I like to hang out with my friend, and
man.
it's improving my life. So we would be doing it anyway. We just don't know how to exist without contributing to the content machine of the internet. It feels oxymoronic, but we're here trying to make the best of it. Everybody, we're rocking and rolling.
This podcast video stream, whatever this is very much like a tortilla chip. It's just a vehicle for the guacamole.
It really is just a delivery vehicle for the sauce.
We are a sauce-based friendship, but sometimes you need a carrot.
You know, why not deliver the sauce on something that's going to benefit you more than it's going to hurt you?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We on this podcast, which is again live stream podcast, the default names for content. But in the before times, remember when the podcasts were like the before times?
Yeah.
And now it's just this blanket term. But we have figured out as friends have fallen out of doing the podcast. We were both doing stand-up comedy in New York, in the grind and the hustle, and then we were both during COVID had different experiences with our health, and we've had I don't really talk about this much, but I had like COVID very early on. I'm a healthcare worker, and I had months of post-COVID effects. I don't want to say long COVID, because some people long COVID is never ending, but you during that time also took it upon yourself to really improve your physical fitness, maybe in response just societally to what was going on. But we bonded over this idea of like, we got to improve our physical beings, and collaterally benefited by, my mind feels better.
Yeah.
Oh, my relationships are better because our relationship got better because we were sharing about things, and we were like, hey, this is great. This is good. Let's keep the good going. And in an effort to, as we improve our bodies and our minds, let's share with the community who doesn't want to have a good time of improving themselves. Well, I can't say that. There are some people very happy with their ways, and they're very comfortable. Whether it's helping them or not, that's subjective. That's up for debate. But for them, they don't seek to self-improvement. We don't judge. We offer assistance when asked and guidance when required. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I saw an article the other day. I wish I had saved it, but it was about how slacker culture has dissolved, and it was actually, people are having a conspiracy theory that slacker culture was purposely destroyed by the hustle grind culture community.
Oh yeah, that Sigma grind set community.
Because the movie. I think they specifically said like the movie Clerks, where it's just like everybody in there is just a slacker, just like content with just being, they got their job at the convenience store, and and it's like, and looking back, it's like there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, they're happy with their lives, and who are you to say that kind of life is wrong?
I unabashedly admit that I one of my comedic influences early on was Kevin Smith movies, and I always resonated with Clerks because Russell always worked in a video store, and I worked at Blockbuster, and it was the best job I ever had because of the time of life. I've done many podcasts, one of which was with my friend Alex Murray, who's crushing it right now. He's on Off-Broadway doing a D&D live show, like just insanely. What a benefit! What an amazing time for him. But we, we did a podcast that it's called Mike Contextualizes the Universe, MCU, and we did a kind of. He had never seen the Marvel movies. I was obsessed with the Marvel movies up through Endgame. And we did this podcast where we were watching everything going back and adding context because he missed it. So he's watching it now or watching it in the present. But like we were talking about, go back to 2008. Who were you in 2008 when Iron Man 1 came out? Who were you? So much of our experiences need context. So this job that I had where I felt like such a slacker, but I felt guilty for how happy I was being, just had a job. I would hang out with my friends. I loved the thing I was working with, like the movies. I loved movies. I loved, like being in that context. And I was made to feel guilty by not wanting more than that.
Yeah.
Because this was also peak, like we're seeing the result of it now, like not having a living wage and not making, where even to this day, if I could go back and make enough money to live working at a Blockbuster Video, I would do it right now. I still know my employee ID number. I would do it right now because of just how complete it felt. There was no outside influence driving some sort of artificial want. I didn't have any kind of like are your wants, I have this conversation with my wife all the time. Are our wants driven internally or externally? Are you told to want something, or do you want it internally? Because like I wanted, for a long time, I wanted to quit smoking, right? Because I was told, hey, you got to quit smoking. I was a smoker. I started smoking when I was 14 years old. That's a hard thing to give up, because internally I was like, no, I love this and I want it and it feels good and all that stuff. And then I had to figure out for my own health where that balance lies, because there's so many people who will tell you externally that aspartame is bad for you. Yeah, but if I eat the natural sugar, my diabetes will kill me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So there's context needed for all of these things. So when we were, just to bring it all back around, during COVID, the context for our self-improvement at the time was that society was collapsing, right? So we just needed something that we could have control over, and we ended up kind of talking and bonding and all this stuff, and it's really kind of changed this podcast, and just the conversations we've shared has changed my mindset when I think of things. And one of the aspects is the external or internal motivations. I went on a little ramble there. They changed my Adderall dosage.
Oh, did you go up?
Makes sense. Yeah, I had to go up on my Adderall dosage, which is part of this self-improvement process.
Yeah. Do you feel it's better? Do you feel you've been improving in your daily life?
It's still new, but the dosage for me also. We should clarify, we are both giant men. You are 6 foot, whatever, 6'2". I'm 6'3", maybe 4 on a good day.
Yeah. I start out at 6'3", and then after the world has weighed me down, I'm 6'2". Yeah, I wake up 6'3", right. Go to bed 6'2".
Yeah. I need that lack of gravity to stretch me out. We're big dudes, so I always question dosages. So I was talking to my psych, and they were like, I was like, hey, so the initial dosage you put me on, it feels like a tease. It feels like I can sense in the distant of my mind something is happening that I want. I'm like, hey, bring that over here. And it's too far away for me to grab. And it was driving me crazy. It was so frustrating to have attention span be just out of reach. And then she's like, well, go up on the dosage. And I was like, she's like, why didn't you message me and tell me what was going on? And I was like, I didn't realize I could do that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Right. That's right. We have tools for communication, et cetera, et cetera. And then now, so like I'm upping the dosage, and it's like a new toy. My attention span and my focus is a new toy to play with in the context that I don't know how to focus. So now I'm like, almost, I have too many things to think about until I finally narrow it down. At the beginning, I'm like, ooh, I want to think about this. I want to think about that. I want to think about this. And then now I'm like, oh wait, hold on. I can focus without doing that.
So, yeah.
Yours was a little different though.
My what?
Your because did they load you up early and then bring you down? Because that's a process. No, that was a process my friend Steph had.
Yeah, my Adderall has stayed the same the whole time, because it's not like a limitless drug where it's like I can solve all the equations. It's just like, hey, I'm a normal functioning person, and I can get through my day. But they are, because when I initially got into the therapy and the psychiatry, was it 3-4 years ago? I forgot how, 4 years ago, I guess, whatever it was. But it's like they also got me on an SSRI, and so just in the past like 6-7 months or something like that. My psychiatrist is like, yeah, I don't think you because I had like generalized anxiety disorder and they put me on that, and he's like, yeah, you can actually come down off of that. And so
Sure.
like we've been at first he like cut it in half because it was 20 milligrams and he cut it down to 10. And then I started getting these things I didn't even know it's called brain zaps, where it's like a withdrawal symptom, where
Oh
it's
yeah.
you literally, it feels like a
It's
lightning bolt going through your entire, like from your like your brain stem all the way down to your through your spine. Like you just get struck by lightning and you're like, oh god. And it's like it's literally jonesing. You're jonesing to get this chemical fix back. It's like you're nausea and
interesting. Yeah,
tired
yeah.
and
The
everything's just
withdrawal
like.
symptom. Yeah, yeah.
And so after a couple of weeks of this, I was like, this fucking sucks. And then I told my psychiatrist, and he was like, yeah, you can message me and be like, hey, this sucks. You could like, let's fix this.
Yeah.
And so he was like, hey, let's, I cut you in half, but let's cut you down 5 milligrams instead of 10.
Yeah.
And so the next time
let's not be long suffering for no reason.
yeah,
It's like, we solve our problems so quickly for everything else, but when it comes to like us, we're like, we'll ride this out. Let's see how this goes.
that's like one of those when you go through like talk therapy and stuff, they're like, if you were your friend, what would you tell you? And it's like,
yeah. That's it's interesting. You've been married a lot longer than I have. I still feel pretty newlywed because every once in a while we'll discover something that we hadn't talked about.
Yeah,
and that becomes that's the thing of like what you just said of the like if your friend, the negative self-talk.
yeah,
I've never been on the other side of like people witnessing my down moments because I usually isolate, right? But now there's somebody in my house all the time.
yeah,
And the same for her. So it's like, hey, do you know that you do this? And you're like, maybe internally or some sort of like, part of my brain recognized it, but you never really latch onto it. And then now someone is in your house pointing it out to you like, hey, you speak to yourself pretty negatively. And it's like, oh no, I can't even hide here now. It's like I have to address all of this directly. But it's for the benefit of the long-term benefit. But it does feel like accountability is presenting itself. And the negative self-talk is one of those things where my wife and I, we would say to each other, would you say that to your friend? Would you say that to your friend? And would you allow someone to say that to you externally, right? Like, would you allow someone to, like, you can't talk shit about me. I'm me, like that's that feeling,
yeah.
So we come across that all the time. I don't know ultimately what the higher dose of this medication will change as we go, but I'm trying to use stuff we talk about here in the discovery process. You know what I mean? Like it's learning, like the same way learning my limits when I was at the gym, when I was starting to go again. At the same time, not feeling guilty when I've missed a day or two, because we've had that conversation, which I have a video that is that, we're part of the social media machine. We should probably talk about stuff that references other things on social media. Why not? But it does, like all of the tools that we are developing here, I feel like have allowed the suffering to be resolved more quickly and the negative stuff to have a purpose, not just me,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's, hopefully the stuff I don't want this to be like, Will fix me, but a lot of the stuff you talk to me about, I find like I will extrapolate and use in other situations. I love that kind of like, well, in physically I would do this, but mentally it also works, those tools.
Yeah,
it's like big picture things.
Yeah, it is interesting how like how psychology and therapy and everything goes along hand in hand with like weightlifting, because it's very similar in so many aspects of it. I mean, self-improvement, it's the entire common denominator between the two things, but it is body and mind. I used to use the hashtag because I started going to therapy and all that stuff around the same time I like really started to take like training seriously. So it was like both at the same time. So I used to hashtag like, I'll post like a gym selfie. It was like hey, body and mind, and I have like I should go back. I should start doing that again. Whereas like me at the gym, and
Yeah.
then like what I figured out or learned in therapy that week, and it's
Oh, right. Yeah, because of
because
course
it's
it's a
like body
balance.
and mind kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And if I was back in the entertainment industry, to be like, oh, I should have a podcast or a YouTube channel
Yeah,
called Body and Mind.
body line.
How can I
Well, here we
monetize
are with
this?
collateral
Yeah.
benefit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, this is our own personal, like, it helps channel our thinking into helping others, like presenting
Yeah.
it. We have a presenter mindset. I do anyway,
Yeah.
where, when I was a host of this fucking improvised talk show for 3.5 years
Yeah.
in New York. Like, my brain is always defaulting to that kind of like, and how do we, is there anything you'd like to promote before we go? That kind of thinking of like, if people are watching and listening and there's an accountability to that kind of thing. Like, if you live your life, this feels like it can get toxic pretty quick. So I know what I'm saying is not necessarily.
Let's get the chemicals brewing. Let's get this toxicity.
Let's get this podcast going. Let's get this content on the road. But feeling like you're being perceived is from Clerks. Remember when he leaves the money on the counter and he's like, please don't shoplift?
Yeah.
And then he's like, somebody's like just dropping money and taking whatever. It's like, aren't you worried someone's going to steal something? It's like, no, people tend to be more honest if they think they're being watched. And it's like, hey, wait a minute. That's us. Right? If I have to be accountable for a recording of what I say,
yeah,
I have to be on it. Like, I have to maintain a certain level of like, that's my thinking. You know what I mean? Like, or at the very least, be held accountable where like, my thinking has changed since then. I've learned new things. Like, I'm sure if we go back into the decades of, like I have the What's Up Bro podcast with my friend Nary Science. We've been doing that technically 12 years. Yeah, we started that thing 12 years ago. So there's who I was 12 years ago, 13 years ago, very different than who I am now. And I would have said stuff in the past contextually that would have been funny or fine, like in the moment, didn't have the weight that it does now, but I would have to still be held accountable. So it's like, I'm sorry I said that. I don't know who at that time that felt like that was appropriate. I've learned that now that it's not. I'm not saying that there's anything terrible back there, because I do try to like maintain a certain level of like being a good guy.
Yeah.
but there is some accountability,
because like especially towards the end of my stint of doing the comedy and the podcast and everything like that, especially when it was like, that's a shit on the creek in the cave, but like there was this thing of like, because they had like Legion of Skanks recorded out of there, and there was this mentality of like being as edgy as possible, and especially at that time it was a lot of joke structure is basically the punchline is, oh no he didn't, like, right,
like, yeah, being like saying something shitty and smiling is not a punchline.
Yeah. So I noticed a lot. I was leaning more into that, and it was also like, even where I was like, sometimes I would affect the personality of like, I'm drinking beer, drinking tequila, blah blah blah. But it's like, I never enjoyed drinking beer and tequila.
Genuine, yeah.
And it's like, but I felt like I was like leaning into that character of the fun party drunk guy or whatever. It's like, I could just be the fun guy. I didn't have to be the drunk guy or the party guy or the guy who drinks. It's like, it's not healthy, not only just for my body, but it was also not healthy for my psyche, where it's like, I'm not being genuine or honest. Like, this is more honest than I've ever been on in any of those podcasts we did. So we're on stage even. So it's like,
it's, and contextual. That's why context is so important. I mean, like, I referenced the podcast about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is like, whatever, it's just an entertaining thing that I enjoyed. But we really kind of got into the weeds of like who we were at those times, just the relationships I was in, and how I viewed those movies when they came out, and like who you are when you have an experience could vary greatly if you were to then like if you would have had that experience at a different time. You know what I mean? So like when you were doing we were doing these shows and on stuff, that we were different people. That I think is an important filter to view your memories through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that negative self-talk comes from you viewing your past with your present mind.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if I if I think about stuff that I did in my 20s, and I'm like, oh no. But the thing is, I'm not who I was then. I am a different guy, and I thought I was doing the right thing. Like the whole thing about doing these podcasts and having accountability is something that my dad said one time, that I collect these little phrases. They've come up on the show a couple times. Like, you only have to floss the teeth you want to keep.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to be lazy, be honest. If you're going to be lazy, being honest is a form of organization. If I'm honest to you, I don't have to remember the lie that I told to one person, and if they interact, they will reveal the truth of that. No, man, if you're just honest, what's the harm? And it's like, and if someone holds you accountable for your honesty, then you can look and be like, hey, you know what? I appreciate you're telling me this. I was being honest with myself and with you and with the world.
Yeah.
But now I can be honest in receiving this, that you may have changed my behavior. I could also be like, I'm going to be honest with you. I think you're fucking wrong. I disagree with you. That's the validity. That's the foundation, the power of standing on a firm foundation when you live in honesty, when you live in kind of your that whole live your truth, to speak your truth. I don't believe in the wishy-washy definitions of it, but it's like, hey, you said this thing. And it's like, and this is how I felt about it. Did you mean what you said? Oh, no. Okay, now you've planted a seed in my mind that I have to put an extra layer of doubt in front of everything you say.
Yeah.
I don't want people doing that to me.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave.
Right, yeah, like that.
The lies and all that. A great example of that is not to bring up current events and political stuff, but I thought about this woman who posted the Facebook thing about eating the pets and the Haitians and all that stuff.
Yes.
And I don't know if you saw, she came out and said, there's, I don't have any way to back this up. I shouldn't have posted this. I'm a
fucking liar.
I didn't want any of this hate towards this community. And I think it really goes to show like how kind, basic intelligent people can lose their sanity and lose their core values because they get swept up in this cult of personality, or whatever you want to call it, where it's, and yet, at first I was like, fuck this lady, this fucking piece of shit.
What an ass. Yeah.
But then when, she seems genuinely sorry and apologetic, like I was, she's acting out of emotion mind, in therapy speak, where it's, oh my God, they're eating these pets. But she never took into, the reason mind of, all right, let's do a fact check. Are these people actually eating these pets? Do I have confirmation? Blah, blah, blah. Can I find out?
Media literacy is dead.
So
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're absolutely right. And so it's like to the point now where it's like while I don't like her for that initial post, I do have to give her credit, and it's very hard to do, and especially in the internet blaming society, where she admitted she was wrong. She admitted that she wasn't thinking rationally. Where it's like, all right, I appreciate you. It's very hard to ask for forgiveness, but it's even harder to give forgiveness.
That's such a powerful statement. It's hard to give someone forgiveness. I think I think it's dangerous to also remove accountability from an apology, right? Like, just because you apologize doesn't mean you're not going to be held accountable. There is a balancing act there, because there have been, like, and again, this is not a political podcast or a political show, but the idea that politics doesn't affect your body, mind, and community is insane. Like, well, we can be friends, we can disagree and still be friends. It's like, yes, to a certain degree. That's not a universal statement.
We can disagree on pizza toppings, but not on
the value of human life. You know what I mean? Like that the aspect of what we're getting at is, for her to have posted something like that about, or for people to make these generalizations that are there, that is first of all, othering an entire immigrant group of community, like, where you don't see them as human.
Yeah. And
second of all, inspiring action in the people that would take that action knowing this fake information.
Yeah.
Because there has been, and like there was like the Pandora's box, like, hey, you can't close that box. You can feel bad about it, and I'm sure that if you genuinely do, that's a tough place to be. But you can't, like, forgiveness doesn't reverse time Superman styles around. Forgiveness is just your acceptance of your wrongdoing. Other people asking forgiveness, apologizing, is just an acceptance of I'm incorrect in what I've done, and I will, and it should imply a repentance, like a turning away from. Right. That's my favorite. That's my favorite biblical term that nobody ever uses correctly. To repent means to turn away from.
Yeah.
So you have to turn away from. You can't just say, man, my bad, and then continue to do those things.
Yeah.
You have to turn away from and seek a different path.
It's funny.
That's like the whole point.
Right as you said that, I was literally about to say, like, in regards to this woman that, she's asking for forgiveness. It's up to us to forgive her. I do think we should forgive her, but along with that comes with the penance. After you repent, you do get the penance. The very Catholic theology of me to say that, but it is she will forever be used as an example of media literacy, of check the sources, check the facts. Is this correct? This woman will never again post anything online without making sure it's 1000% correct. And she should be used as an example.
Being honest with herself.
Yeah. And so we should use her as a society, use her as an example of this is, don't post dumb shit without. I'll tell you, maybe it's because I have a personal connection to this similar type of story, but do you remember like a few years ago when it was the Catholic school kids went to Capitol Hill, and there was the Indian or the Native American guy was beating a drum.
Yeah.
And
it was at some pipeline, or it was some pipeline protest.
And it was at the Capitol, and CNN posted the story of MAGA kid is confronting the Native American drummer, but it turns out it was the Native American drummer went up to this tour group of kids, and it was the drummer was the guy who was antagonizing.
Yeah, and I remember that story. Actually, it wasn't. There's many layers, there was a wave of like, it's the fuck that kid, and then it was like, no, the drummer guy was the aggressor. And then later on, you learn more stuff. But it's always like the processing should include the perspective of like, I'm being shown something for a reason. Yeah. What bias is being expressed to me.
Yeah. So ever since then, anytime there's a story where it's like, I have that emotional reaction, it's like, all right, let me find out what's actually happening here before I sound off online or whatever it is, so I don't perpetuate some branding of an ideology.
Yeah. I struggle, like as a progressive person, you have to allow progression in people too. Not, what I mean? Like there has to be that I once was lost, but now I'm found kind of mentality. Where if someone is showing initiative, like this is the thing about even at the gym, right? When you see somebody who is let themselves go in their life, because that there has to have been some sort of mental component to someone becoming morbidly obese, whether it's dealing with family, they were raised that way, and coming to grips with the mentality that this is wrong, I need to improve my health. Turning away from your family in any context, religious, fitness, diet, thinking, all of that stuff is a huge mental weight to carry. So when they're at the gym showing the desire to progress, the only thing that we should be doing is supporting. It's like, hey man, I don't know the details, but I see that you were something you don't want to be, and you're making the steps to do the right thing and improve it. Yeah. The only thing I will be is supportive. The details we can figure out later, but the big picture is that the opposite is true for anything you see on social media. Anything, you do not support anything until we have reached the point where it is not innocent until proven guilty when it comes to online stuff. AI is a whole other issue of not to dunk on boomers constantly, but they seem to be the ones that are perpetuating so much internet bullshit. But when I vividly remember as a kid, nobody believed, don't believe anything you read on the internet. Don't people lie. And then I'm like, hey, do you remember when you guys said all this stuff about how dangerous the internet would be? You're the thing that is now dangerous. You're the ones who believed the danger. And if you go on Facebook right now, I'm not on Facebook as much as I used to be. You know, I'm not a 60-year-old grandma, but it's just awash with fake generative AI images that don't exist. And because people don't have the training to see the what make, like, hey, wait a minute, this guy's got 6 fingers on his hand.
Yeah.
Weird shit like that, where it's like, unless you know how to turn your brain into a skeptic for the moment, you really have to doubt. You really have to, like, you know, and that's also why who you have around you helps as well. Like, your social communities in person and online matter. Like, I've unfriended people who are toxic because I don't want to see it anymore. But there's entire people like, oh, you should be open to be friends with everybody, and it's just the internet, it's just Instagram. And I'm like, hey, I also unfollowed a bunch of business websites and business like people trying to sell me shit, because I'm tired of being a product being marketed to. You know, I'm tired of being like, I'm tired of this. You know, like, it sucks to constantly feel everything be so phony.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, you know, what's interesting about the whole thing about, like, oh, you shouldn't unfriend somebody because they post things you don't like or whatever. But it's also, it goes along with the thing in therapy where it's like, whenever you do like interpersonal relationships with therapy, it can also apply to social media, where it's like, if somebody is doing something that is negatively affecting me, I set up a boundary to make sure that their negativity doesn't affect me. The same thing goes with social media. You unfriending that person is setting up a boundary. You snoozing that person for 30 days is setting up a boundary. You unfollowing the Wendy's account or whatever it is, that's setting up a boundary that I don't want to see manufactured capitalism content. Like, it's you know, you're setting a boundary, whether it's in real life or online.
The reality of it is that it all boils down to, like, accountability. Like, you can't just float around through life. You know, there's certain people, we're not rich enough to do that. My wife is watching Succession now, and the Kieran Culkin character, I don't know, did you watch that show? I'm not watching. I want to watch it, but did you watch the show?
I watched, like, the final season.
Great. That's a brilliant way to watch,
I gotta say,
serialized drama.
Didn't miss a thing. I
didn't miss a thing.
I understood it immediately, and I could follow the storyline and the character arcs. I understood everything.
Rich people, bad.
Yeah,
rich people corrupt.
I live in the real world, and that's what the real world is. So I understand. I understand the people. I know those people.
The problem. So the thing with the show is that they're like, where she's in finished season 1, starting season 2. And the Kieran Culkin character, they don't really show him doing drugs and all this stuff yet, or I don't know if he does. They show the Kendall Roy character going into rehab and all these things and blah blah blah. But then he acts like he's on drugs, and I'm like, that's the drug of entitlement. The drug of, I can do whatever the hell I want. That is a more powerful drug than drugs. It is like a legitimate, like, it's crazy how addictive the lack of accountability can be.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, it really does feel that way. Like I'm sure there's dudes, like, how do I put this gently? How do I put this diplomatically? Every person that's ever started a fight with me has been shorter than me.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
When there is, like, if I start a fight with someone, I could really, really hurt them because I train in martial arts. But just my physicality enough is I've accidentally hurt people from my sheer size. There is an accountability that you pick up very quickly when your physical body is something that you have to constantly be aware of. A smaller person, also, I've been in relationships with women who are like a foot shorter than me and shorter, who will throw hands, like, jokingly and playfully, and then I'm like, and they're like, why don't you wrestle? And I'm like, I can accidentally kill you.
I read Mice and Men.
Yes,
I am Lenny.
I am a Lenny, and the problem is I have a Lenny body, but I don't have a Lenny mind. So I know the bad that I'm doing. I know the danger. You know, like, so there's an accountability. Like, when, like, as a bigger dude, physical strength. That's why you see these giant dudes who are like the world's strongest men, like that Hafthor Bjornsson guy, the mountain.
Yeah.
That dude seems chill as fuck, because there's an accountability to, first of all, being perceived everywhere you go, right? Everywhere I go, it's like, oh, there's I've seen pictures of whenever I dance at weddings. I love it. It's my favorite thing. That's when I cut loose. But every picture of the dance floor is just everybody's heads and then me sticking up above it. And I'm very aware of, I'm very visible. So it's like, I'm aware I'm being perceived, and there's an accountability to all that stuff. And I think that there's a lot of people that go through life that they're like, it's like, oh, you can see me? Yeah. Yeah. And you're now going to be held accountable for your thing. You're like, oh, well, that's never happened before. It's like, guess what, buddy? It's happening now. Like
it is fascinating how our physical presence has affected. I'm sure you can relate, but it is I noticed two things over the past few years, which is one, that I code switch my voice when I'm talking to somebody smaller than me, especially if they're a woman.
Yeah.
Where it's like, even right now, I'm still like, if I'm really talking, like, I think it was like Patrick Hasty. Do you remember Patrick? Yeah, he pointed it out where he said, I can tell when you're talking your real voice because your real voice scares me, because it's like my voice is a little lower, that kind of thing. But when I'm talking to somebody shorter than me, smaller than me, or especially if they're a woman, hey, how's it going? Hey, you doing good? Oh, cool. Yeah, nice to see you.
Hey.
But it's like, that's not my real voice. That's a persona I'm putting on, so I don't scare the little people.
Yeah, I don't want to scare the Lilliputians.
Yeah,
I don't want to scare the small
I make sure
folk.
It's more high pitched. It's more boisterous. Hey, fun, happy. Not like, hey, what's up? How you doing, bro? Bro, what's up, bro?
I don't think of it's interesting. I do that. I don't know if I think about, like, right now, this isn't my normal voice. I just realized, like, I normally speak like a lower tone. I normally speak. I'm not yelling all the time. I'm just more lower register. This is also easier for me to do, but because I'm performing, this is the range in which I am speaking to the, and I never really think of it as a different me. It's also like, I contain multitudes, right? Like I can be whoever I want to be I like people to feel safe around me. So I have no problem doing the things because it feels genuine, because it comes from a real place of like, hey, I want someone to view me as a safe person. That's why when it comes to like LGBTQ and all of the allyship and trans people, and I'm like, yeah, hey, everybody, I don't know how to tell you that I'm not. Look, I got the beard. I'm walking around, like I'm a big, large dude. Like, I feel like I look like I could be a problem.
Yeah.
Like all the time. Like when I was right on the subway in New York, I'd be like, I get it. It's reasonable for you to be afraid of me, but also you don't have to be.
I also, I understand that I have like a resting Republican face where I just like blonde, straight white guy with like a Mitt Romney haircut. Like, I understand that, like, so like I've had people like say some like vile shit to me thinking I'm on their side.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, I don't want to deal with this. Like, I feel like I should just wear a Planned Parenthood shirt everywhere I go, just so people are like, even like, it'll be like, I remember one time this black guy was like, these fucking Asians out here. And I was like,
hey,
why do you think I'm going to agree with you? Like, this is not.
I struggle with that. I had a bit about it where it's like, as a white Latino, that we are the stealth Latinos of the community, where we've also kind of bought into the. I mean, look, this is Collateral Benefit episodes 007. This is episode 7. It's like they're double agents. They're spies. And then the joke was that people will assume I'm whatever they are. So when I'm around a bunch of white people, they will assume that I am also white, and they will say things where I'm just like, "Hey, man, I'm Latino." Like, and the joke is like, "Go ahead, build your wall. I'm already inside. I'm in your communities. Like, you can't tell unless I speak with an accent or roll an R in front of you. Like the people, genuinely want. It's kind of goes to that feeling that, again, accountability is one of these. I guess the theme of the day, where you get to choose what you put out there. if you're conscious of it. And if you are putting yourself out and you're being perceived, so if someone can hold you accountable to that, hold you to it. You know, a man is only as good as his word. All of these things matter, you know, like they all matter. So at a certain point, if you're holding yourself accountable to the world, you're holding yourself accountable to yourself.
Yeah.
Because you get to be the one that chooses that. And I think that's kind of an important thing. It's a hard lesson, like you were talking about, between psychology and weightlifting, therapy and weightlifting. You have to damage the muscle in order for it to grow. In psychology, you have to talk and re-experiencing damaging. You have to have damaging thoughts. Stuff hurts.
Yeah.
When you're in therapy and you're like, oh no, I am responsible for my mistakes and my actions. That hurts. It sucks because you're like, God damn. But once you heal from it, you have grown. Yeah. It's like there's a very, very clear parallel to those two thoughts, you know?
It is interesting, especially this goes along with what we were talking about, performing to other people and putting on a character, where it's like especially when I started doing therapy, but even I'll catch myself doing it now, where it's like, it's almost like you're lying to the therapist because you don't want them to think there's something wrong. And it's not like you're there for a specific reason. And it's, you know, like, you know, I'll start off with a therapist. Hey, how's it going? Well, I'm like, it's going good. You know, going great. And it's like, okay, so
I don't think that's true. Yeah, you're like, it's like you're here to tell the truth, and you're like, I'll get there. give me a minute.
Yeah,
I have to peel back the it is what it is of it all. You know, I have to peel back all of the layers of it is what it is that I put on for the outside world in order to truly address things. You know, it is what it is has been the most beneficial and simultaneously the most hurtful thing I've ever done to myself. Being able to just be like, it is what it is. I can't affect that change. That feeling has hurt me more than I think I'm willing to allow. That awareness of like, oh no, this is a bad version of that. It's not, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing.
I think it is what it is a bastardization of, in therapy, the idea of radical acceptance, because they're not the same thing. It is what it is different than radical acceptance. It is what it is dismissive, where it's like, what can you do? Which is like a very like boomer Irish Catholic thing to say, what are you going to do? But then it's like radical acceptance is, what is my current situation? Can I improve on this current situation?
Yeah. Like what's my what's my reality?
Yeah.
And it's like, what are it's like am I being intentional with my reality? Or, you know, like that Eleanor Roosevelt quote of like, people will only treat you how you let them, or whatever it is. It's like, oh, that's me too. You know what I mean? Like, I should be more conscious about my things. Bad habits form accidentally. We've talked about it on the show all the time. Bad habits form when you're not paying attention. Good habits take fucking work, you know?
Yeah.
It's that muscle building. You have to hurt and be uncomfortable to find that place of growth where this good habit has developed because I work towards it.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've talked about a lot of heavy stuff here because I think that's part of it. I don't think we should ignore that sort of thing. But also, like, we want to, like, here's the perfectly, like, I'm trying to segue into the videos that we have. We constantly share stuff with each other because in the moment it really does feel beneficial to this is exactly what I'm thinking right now.
Yeah.
And I'll give this one. This is the one that I saw that I really enjoyed.
I worked out for a week. Man, I suck. Check the facts. My body does not feel as full of energy as it has been because I haven't been working out. And I suck. Check the facts.
I notice in my body there is more energy when I work out. By not working out, I'm noticing in my body I have less energy. In order to get the energy I desire to build a life worth living and achieve my life worth living goals, I could prioritize working out again. And by doing so does not inhibit the fact that I didn't work out for a week leading up to this.
One more thing.
Feeling low energy and a little depressed because of not working out and throwing off my schedule are valid feelings, and I can validate those feelings. Feeling shame or like a total piece of gaga poo-poo rah-rah is not valid and does not fit the facts of the situation. Therefore, I do not need to validate those feelings.
Heck yeah.
Walking the middle path, I didn't completely implode. Implosion from using the skills is thankfully very low. I've worked.
Yeah. So literally what we were just talking about, where the check the facts is also great advice. We talked about that when it comes to media literacy. This is a manic odyssey. A manic odyssey. We should quote the creator, or what is it? To credit the creator. But the idea that I have not been to the gym as much as I would like, because I've been working overtime and I work nights and my body is just physically tired, and the last thing I want to do is make it more tired. But also because I have not been working out, I am more tired. So it's this kind of thing of like, I feel like such a loser, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, check the facts. It's like, yeah, it does help, and live in the reality. That feels like a very good, like, live in the reality kind of moment. You know what I mean? Like that's a great check-in. Check the facts. What's the reality? Oh, I feel better when I do this. And
I love this video because it is very, like, man, it's literally what we were just talking about, how psychology and lifting weights or exercising goes together. I mean, he was even using check the facts, which is a term that can be used in therapy, and it's radical. It's just another way to say radical acceptance. What is the reality of the situation? But it is, even this past few weeks, like, just like you, I've been working so much overtime, and my schedule, sometimes I'll work in the evening, sometimes I'll work in the daytime, and it's like, I wasn't able to meal prep properly, so I had
that's a big one.
To buy quick food, and sometimes if you're working late, sometimes not everything's open. So I ate so much pizza this week, and it's like, and I do notice in the mirror that I have been, like, I can see that my muscle tone isn't what it used to be. I do see the excess pounds on there. I stepped on the scale and it was like 5 pounds more than it was like a month ago, and it's like, I know this isn't. I didn't gain 5 pounds of muscle,
Right. Yeah. This is it. I didn't, this pizza didn't magically do anything to turn into 5 pounds of muscle. That's a.
So, but it's like, I know, but then, like, I think I said it last week, this coming week is actually my staycation week, where it's like, all right, even like yesterday and today, which I also had off, it's like, everything just feels like it went by so quickly that if I had to go straight back into work this next week, I would be probably right back in the same situation, just I'm so burnt out or whatever. So it's like, oh, I have this whole week where I can recalibrate myself. I can get back into eating properly. I can get back, even kind of what we were talking about last time, where I'm adding 15 minutes of cardio at the end of my weight session just to burn off some excess calories. Maybe that can help lose some of those pounds or whatever it is, and I can start refreshed next time I do have to go back into the quote unquote regular routine or whatever it is. And so it's like, all right, I do feel like a piece of shit for not eating right and for not going to the gym, but
check the facts.
It was it's not like this is forever.
Right.
I can improve upon my situation.
Yeah, that's a very valid, like, again, holding yourself accountable. It's like, hey, I know what I'm doing. I know what I know, like, this is the ADHD executive dysfunction part of it, where it's like, it's one of the most painful things for me in my journey of weight loss and just being happy with my body has been knowing the things that I have to do, yet being unable to coordinate myself to do them.
Yeah.
I can't, like, that thing of, like, recognizing that, you've been eating pizza this week. You've been working hard. You've been making money. You've been trying to take care of, like, it's a zero-sum game. There's only 24 hours in the day. We don't have the wealth succession money to be able to do what we want when we want. So we have to fit things around the obligations we have to be able to continue to live our lives, like, that is a very real thing. So, like, if someone is working 2 jobs, telling them to go to the gym for an hour a day is like, hey, that's money out of my pocket, dog. Hey, that could dramatically impact my income. People are like, oh, it's only $50 a month to join some gym. And it's like, no. That $50 needs to go to groceries to feed my kids or whatever it is. Like, no one's situation is universal. So, like, the there is that element of like, be careful how you phrase things. And I've fallen into that trap before too, where I'm like, just do it, man. And then I'm like, are you doing it? And I'm like, hey, don't talk about me like that. Like it's like, it's so easy to do this, very hard to do this.
Yeah.
And also it's very easy to do this without realizing who you're pointing at may not be needing that in that moment.
I think that goes along with something we've talked about in previous episodes, where it's like the unasked for advice. When people give you unsolicited advice, where it's like, are you trying to tell me something, or are you trying to tell yourself something?
Yeah, that's a big, that's one that gets revealed to me every now and again, where they're like, is that for other people or for you? And I'm like, that is for me. Sorry. I was saying things out loud, and that's one of the things that as, I don't want to be a wife guy, but I love my wife and I talk to her about all this, everything in my life. And sometimes she's like, hey, is that for me or for you? And sometimes she'll say something to me and I'm like, oh, that's not for me. That's for you. And then it's hard to not want to help someone who you love, like I want to help my wife do stuff. And she's like, hey, don't push. And I'm like, yes, that's right. Help. I'm not just like, I'm not going to micromanage or do stuff for you. And that's like a boundary, an important thing about setting boundaries.
To loop it back to what we were talking about towards the beginning about like people's perception of you and judgmental and stuff like that. But I don't know if you ever saw there's a couple of videos with the similar topic where it's like, whenever you think, that person's going to think I'm lazy, that person's going to think I'm stupid, that person's going to think I'm fat, but you are putting
they don't, you don't know what they're thinking. You're not a psychic. You're creating a version of them in your mind and putting bullshit thoughts into their mouth. Yeah. That's you talking through some make-believe assumption. That's you telling you something.
When you assume people are going to judge you, it's you judging them.
Yeah.
So I'm very whenever I can notice
judgment. It's a judgment Ouroboros.
Yeah.
Of the snake eating its own tail of judgment.
And I think when I notice other people kind of doing that, exhibiting that behavior, especially when it comes to like physical fitness around me, like the other day I had a coworker who was like, yeah, man, just unsolicited was like, I got to go to the gym, man. I got to start looking more like you. I got to, but I'm such a fat piece of shit. I was like, hey man, you're going through a lot right now. If you want help or anything, let me know. But, don't feel any pressure. I'm not judging you on anything. I try to put out the vibes that like, hey, I'm not that kind of person. I'm not going to be the one judging you.
Space. I'm an ally.
Yeah, I'm not going to contribute to that bad self-talk that you have. So, if you ever need advice or anything, I'm here. But if not, enjoy your food. I'm not going to tell you not to eat that or drink that or do that behavior. Like,
my wife and I talk about this also, where it's like, if I'm not going to enjoy the thing that I'm doing to like cheat on my diet, if I'm going to be like, then I'm just going to be like upset twice.
Yeah.
Because as I'm eating it, if I'm not enjoying it as I'm eating it, I'm also not going to enjoy it when I remember that I ate it. That's too, at the very least, enjoy the process of what you're doing so that you can regret it later. I mean, you're going to do whatever you're going to do, but in the moment, if you're not even going to enjoy it in the moment because you're preemptively pissed at yourself, don't, like, what are you talking about? Like, either do it or don't. But like, you're wasting the joy that you could be feeling from eating that fucking ice cream or whatever. Like, enjoy the process.
One of the greatest aha moments I've ever had in relation to my diet, nutrition and stuff was when I was eating some French fries. And halfway through, I was like, these are some of the worst French fries I've ever had, but he still kept eating them.
Yeah.
And I was like, why am I still eating these, even though I'm not currently enjoying them? And after the fact, I will think poorly of myself for having eaten these unnutritious items. So now I have the philosophy, I just extend it to everything else, of never eat a soggy French fry, where it's just like, am I enjoying this? Is this experience I'm currently having worth the calories, worth the guilt, worth whatever I may have later?
Never eat a soggy French fry is a very powerful. Never eat a soggy French fry is one of those You only have to floss the teeth you want to keep. You
Yeah.
can pull so much meaning out of it. Never eat a soggy French fry. I'm writing it down. That's great.
If you're not enjoying the, and it also comes from that idea of don't waste food and finish your plate and all that stuff, where it's like I still have problems with that concept of like I don't want to waste food, where it's like, but if I'm not enjoying the thing that's in front of me, it's not like I can send these soggy French fries to Africa to feed the starving children or whatever it is. It's like, I'd rather just not consume this unhappiness.
Right. Like this is not helping me even in the moment. It's not even instant gratification. There's zero gratification that will come from this act.
Yeah.
Right. Like if I'm not enjoying it in the moment, like instant gratification is like eating the chocolate cake and be like, oh my God, it's so good. I love it so much. Oh my God. That's fine. Then later on, if you're upset, but if you're eating the chocolate cake going like, oh, this fucking chocolate cake's gonna make me so fat, you're not even, it's not even, there's zero gratification. There's no gratification. You're just getting, that's what empty calories should mean.
Yeah.
And someone's like, oh, these are just empty calories. I'm like, I don't know, man. They're full of joy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. They're full of joy right now, later on, whatever. But at least in the moment, it's serving a function. It is not empty.
Yeah.
Empty calories would be eating the cake and hating the process.
Yeah.
But again, if you're gonna never eat a soggy French fry it's like one of those E equals MC squared. These are my unified theories of living, man.
Yeah.
That you have, like, it's so like if it takes less than 2 minutes, do it now.
Yeah.
Starting is better than finishing. Like shit like that. Like genuinely, like starting something is better than finishing it. Because at very, like perfection. One of my favorites is that perfection is the enemy of progress.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're trying to do it, you'll find a million ways to find flaws in it. But if you're just trying to make progress, you will always accomplish something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you say, oh, I won't do it until it's 100% perfect, then you're never going to do anything. So like all of these unified theories of things, I'm telling you, they're like shortcuts. The ADHDification of my self-improvement, like never eat a soggy French fry is going on the list. I'm literally writing it down right now because it's such a good way to sum that up.
Yeah.
Never eat a soggy French fry because you're not enjoying it even in the moment. I love it. Let's bang out some of these other videos. I love some of this stuff here. This is also a great one.
About you.
I'm fat.
No, like a red flag.
I don't got red flags.
That's not true.
I promise. I've never had a girlfriend.
That doesn't mean you don't have red flag. How much time do you spend on the internet?
Not a lot, because I'm a powerlifting team.
Oh, slay? How much do you squat?
I squatted 705 at nationals.
You're a fucking liar.
Fourth in the nation.
That's my favorite guy.
You did it. I mean, okay. What's the worst?
That's a great video there's layers to it.
Yeah.
But I love that video, not because of the interviewer or the guy being interviewed. There's a dude that shouts out, hyping his friend up, saying he's not lying. He's fourth in the nation. You need a guy like that in your life. That's like, this guy is awesome. And like that, you don't, if you're bragging about yourself, I don't believe you. But if someone else is like, hey, that guy's awesome, man. He's great. I think he's a great dude. I will believe that. The guy shouting out fourth in the nation is the hero of this video because it's like, what? That's such a powerful thing. Also, squatting 705 is awesome. You could see the power in the dude. Like he's like, I'm fat. And I'm like, those two things are not mutually exclusive, my friend. It's such a, I love the positivity of this video. And the girl is like, I don't believe you, is immediately proven wrong and is like, well, fuck, I'm wrong,
I also, this also goes along with what we were talking about earlier, how if you look at the two people in that video, the interviewer and the powerlifter, one was being authentic and one was putting out a performance.
Yes.
The interviewer, their entire character was
doubt, like shitting on, like pointing out a negative.
Was just looking for the negativity and was looking to shit on somebody and was looking to go viral for her whatever witty comments or shit talking. But the dude was just like, yeah, man, I'm fat and I lift weights.
Yep, that's my life.
Yeah.
That sounds great, actually.
Yeah.
Being fat and being strong and like that. That's kind of the goal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like that's yeah. I wish, but I want to be I want to be that guy's friend. Is what I want to be.
Yeah.
Like that guy seems like the chillest dude to hang out with. Like it's like, yeah, I don't have any drama. I just power lift and I eat, and I'm out here hanging out I'm hanging out with my friends who hype me up like that.
Yeah.
Like there's so many green flags in that video that it's like, it's kind of like endearing. It's like, well, yeah, that's like a cool group of dudes, you know?
Yeah. This was like a green flag talking to a red flag.
100%. I also don't believe that there are no red flags. Like, oh, I don't have any red flags. But you know, for sure there's something about that dude that people, you know, and someone will not agree with. You know, I'm not saying he's a human being. I'm not saying he's like a shining beacon of pure perfection. But also to like go specifically up to somebody, what are your red flags? I don't know, man. I'm not the one who thinks they're red. Right? Like
the whole like red flag thing is, I've never been a huge fan of it because a lot of it I see it in the context of people throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
Where they're like, nah, they're not 100% perfect, so we need to get rid of them. And it's like, people are complex individuals. They have faults. It's not always 50-50. It's not always 90-10. It's a brackish water of behavior.
Yeah, there's a good brackish water of behavior is also a great that's like a song title or a band or something. Like a brackish water is that's great. I like that phrase actually. But it is true, like there is no red flag, there is no green flag. There is behaviors that we all establish, but this is the boundaries issue. The red flags are only red flags if someone is doing something that you think is a red flag, or like the ick. I've gotten so like that. To me, anybody who has an ick is a red flag.
Yeah.
You know, like having icks mean that you are bad at communicating and or are bad at self-introspection.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a bad at self-analysis.
Yeah.
Where you're like, it's an ick. Like there's a dude that's one of the most toxic TikTok accounts I've ever seen. That this dude, he anytime there's an ick, it just shows him filling out a list of what women have listed as their icks. And what it is that it's just a compilation of the worst in people and assigning it to a generalization about a group of people, right? Like that's that girl. You know, being interviewed on the street like that is also a huge source of negative content. Like it's pretty terrible. Like the Hawk Tua girl is the only girl that has come out on top because she was like being as funny as she was. And even then, I don't have like I'm not going to listen to her opinions on higher education. I'm not going to do her opinions about anything. I don't know anything beyond the Hawk Tua, which sure, great advice, but also that's very narrow, very limited window of what advice she should be giving. And now she's she's like on all these podcasts talking. It's like, why? I mean, it's fun. I'm sure she's a perfectly nice girl.
Yeah.
But there's just the platforming of too much. Like, I'm not supposed to know everyone's opinion. I'm not supposed to have a perfect conduit into unfiltered, like just id.
Yeah.
You know, like.
And it's also, you know, this person is being broadcast online for this 5-second clip where it's like they're more than just a quick blurb that some person on the street shoving a microphone in their face. And you know,
is the Hawk Tua girl getting money from that video that went viral on YouTube that guy's getting monetized? You know, like.
She didn't get money from the initial video, but she's getting money from everything else. There are like Hawk Tua Halloween costumes I saw at Spirit Halloween, which is just
good Lord.
You know, I'm glad she's being able to fleece this horrific society. But I mean, a lot of those things like the red flag, ick, all that stuff, where it's like, in like DBT and everything, you know, you got to work the dialectic, like this dialectical behavior therapy. You got to know not everything is all good, not everything is all bad.
Dialectical behavior therapy? I know cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yeah, it's like one step further than where it's basically, you know, you got to work the dialectic and not everything is good, not everything is bad. It's basically what we were saying before about, in Catholic philosophy, it's the St. Thomas Aquinas quote of, every sinner has a future, every saint has a past, where it's just like, nobody is born perfect, nobody is born evil. It's just life and trauma and events happen to them that shape them to who they are. And there is redemption, there is falls from grace, there is
I mean, at a certain point it starts to get pretty like what do we call what's the word I'm thinking of, like in literature, like tropes, not like archetypes. Like if you start, there's some human need to categorize people, and I guess it comes from the evolutionary instinct of other safe, you know what I mean? Like I think I think about how many cultural videos I've seen of cultures I never knew about, right? Like if I did not have access to the internet, I would not know about like the sub-Saharan African continent, of like the cultures that happen, the history of Belgium and the Congo, right? Like the atrocities committed by Belgium and the Congo. That's not something you're taught. That's not something, but like I've learned things, and and again, you run the risk of like, I shouldn't believe it all outright, but it does teach you. It does teach you to go looking for facts and do your own research and stuff. And I love how we got there. We got to me talking about the atrocities that Belgium committed in the Congo from a video of the dude having no red flags. Because it's true. It's all about like, how can I sum you up in the quickest way possible? For a lot of culture right now, it's Black, Asian, white, immigrant, like you're just assigning these like rapid fire categorizations at people, and immediately coming to prejudices. The prejudices like are like there's a certain amount of truth to every generalization when you're talking about populations that are, but when you're talking about individuals, it's scary how quickly people resort to categorization. Red flag, green flag.
Red flag, green flag, good, evil,
right, wrong. Like there's plenty of people like indoctrination versus reality. Like all of these things. Like they like immediately these categories, and even stuff like weight training or cardio. Stuff like that. Like everybody's just constantly like our brains are just pattern recognition machines that are like that's the drug. Finally understanding the pattern of something gives you a little bit of a high. So we're desperately seeking that online, where the algorithm is feeding us shit that I connect with this, I understand it, I connect with it, I understand it. And if you don't connect with something, this is not me, but I see it all the time. I've never gone into a comment thread on anything that's been worth it. You know what I mean? Like I've reached a point where I don't need to share my opinion anywhere ever, except for in this format about like I control it. Like this is you and me talking to each other. And if people happen to watch, that's fine. I don't want to go and type in a comment that will then get picked apart in perpetuity. You know what I mean? Like it's too permanent. And at no point are we allowing people to be like, oh, you know what? I was wrong. My bad.
It's funny.
It never happens.
I stopped commenting on a lot of stuff on like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that over the past, 2 years or whatever it is. And because of that, my view count, my likes, my shares, all that stuff has gone down dramatically. Even to the point where like Facebook and Instagram were sending me stuff like, hey, so-and-so commented on your thing. Would you like to reply to them? Or this friend posted a new thread. You should comment on their thing. And it's, because the more you comment on other people's stuff, the more your posts get elevated. So it's like, it's encouraging you to comment on, I'll get, in my Facebook feed, I'll get Facebook groups I'm not a part of will show up on my thing. And I'm like, I don't, like it's too funny too, because it's like I got this one, I forgot, I think it was like for like furries or something like that, which is a community I'm not a part of, but it's like adjacent to, I have a lot of like comic book stuff that I'm a part of.
Oh, right. People
you know,
dressing in costumes.
I'm comic book
Cosplay.
conventions, New
Sure.
York Comic Con, and it's like, oh, there was that crossover where the algorithm was like, hey, you're a nerd, you like dressing up as costumes, you like Disney, you like this, so that means you must also like furries. Here's this group that you never would have seen before. And I was like, Jesus.
And you're like, yes, finally, my people. Finally, the algorithm works for me.
But then I was like, I gotta work the dialectic. The furries are neither bad nor good. They are enjoying their lives. It's not my thing, but have fun. Snicker Fritz.
Have fun. Yeah, have fun having weird, hot, sweaty sex in your fursuits. We have time for one more video. Do you want to do one of well, we could talk about do you want to do the Shannon Sharp video?
Yeah, sure, let's do that.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if we'll get in trouble for this.
The
Psych, it's about his workouts. Hey. It's not about the one of him having sex, accidentally broadcasting his sex. It's about his workout and diet reveal.
Asparagus occasionally, and that's it. People ask me like, don't you get bored? I said, people say insanity is doing the same thing over and over and hoping for a different result. I do the same thing over and over, hoping for the same result.
And now we get to talk.
That's there's more to this video. We don't have time to watch the whole thing, but it does go into Shannon Sharp, who's one of the legendary NFL player, incredible tight end, and legendary in now his interviewing of Cat Williams. Legendary. He's got he's got a personality, but he's also one of the most fit older men I've ever seen in my life. He is shredded. Incredibly shredded. He is in such good shape. And that video goes on to, I'll put it in the comments. I think I can do that. You can see that he cares about routine, that it's literally a practice, like meditation is a practice, it's something that he finds like a security in because he knows the results that will come from it. I like that idea.
One of the huge things in fitness is the most important thing is consistency. Where it's if you're not going to the gym on a regular basis, you will see no results. They say it's not that you want to have a good workout, you want to have good training sessions.
Yeah.
Because you can have a workout, but are you training? Are you training to achieve a goal? So him saying like, I'm doing the same thing over and over again, expecting the same result is like, yeah, I've conditioned myself with these practices, with this modality, with, mesocycles or whatever it is. Like he's achieving his goals through consistency.
The consistency feels like such a hard thing.
Yeah.
God, like, especially, I will say this, the context that I have not gone to the gym this week or since I started my shift of days. I work in chunks of days, 3 in a row overnight. So like it's work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep. And then today is like kind of the first day off. Yesterday I didn't work out because I slept, and then my wife is in a play. Brag.
Oh yeah.
Humble. My wife is in a play, and I love supporting, bragging about my wife. But so we went to go see it and all this stuff, and I was like, and even then I was like, gosh, I could have done it. I could have fit it in. I need to make. Again, we were talking about this beforehand about like setting up the streams and, having all these things built out where I get more obsessed with the setting up the tools for a thing than using the tools to do the thing. ADHD thing as well. So at a certain point, the consistency for me feels like the biggest hurdle.
Yeah.
Because I can do stuff once and I'll feel great, whatever. And then they're like, oh, you got to do that again tomorrow. And I'm like, God, yeah, sure. And eventually I got to a point with you where I was there, working out 5 days a week, loving it. I'm feeling great. And the second there's like a hiccup or hurdle, it's like that video we saw earlier where like, I'm a piece of shit. It's like, check the facts. Like I don't want to check the facts. I want to feel like a piece of shit.
I think it also goes along with, and you'll even hear like fitness experts say this, but it is the hierarchy of your value of your life, where it's like, all right, you have the option. You can either go to the gym, or you could go see your wife's play. Which is more important to you?
Right.
It's like fitness is important, but is this as important as supporting your wife?
No, I mean, yeah. I mean, 100%. Yes, I agree. I had like 6 thoughts at the same time. They all started getting to the door, like the Three Stooges, like where they're all just like, I 100% agree that there's so much more like prioritization is also a skill. Knowing what's important feels like such a lost art, as much as the routine is, like we were talking earlier about at the very beginning about the if I had to, like, the Sigma grind set bullshit, if I could work at the routine of working at Blockbuster, that routine of my life was so fun and light, but also because I didn't have any responsibilities.
Yeah.
So part of me likes that idea of prioritizing. I was having this conversation with my friend when he was moving, and they were looking for a house, and they were lucky enough to be in a position where they could find something. And they were like, no, but we want to buy the smaller house because we want to be able to take vacations 2 weeks out of the year. And I'm like, hey man, are you living your life for those 2 weeks or the other 50 that you could be enjoying your home?
Yeah.
If you're going to spend 50 weeks of your life being like, fuck man, this house is too small, or this house doesn't have the pool that the other one did, or, like, and I'm using the house in this general term, like for us to think about it as, are we choosing the lesser option for more time than we would because we're trying to enjoy this tiny little piece of life? Or are we going to emphasize the majority of the bigger chunk of time in our lives that we can sit back and be like, this is my choice and I enjoy it and this is what we're doing?
Yeah.
That the freedom to be in that position, I feel like, is invaluable. Not everyone is lucky enough to be in that position. But I don't want to compare it to anyone else's theory, because you can do that for every situation.
Yeah.
Be kind of objective about the subjective, like objective about my situation. I don't have to answer to nobody else, but I can be objective in saying that I like this. This is, this subjective thing will then empower me to go do other stuff. So if I'm prioritizing supporting my wife in her play, which she also has mixed feelings about performing and being perceived, knowing that I'm watching. Very true. Everyone on any kind of performance knows it's easier to perform in front of a bunch of fucking strangers.
Yeah.
Than it is people who you have to then deal with afterwards and be like, no, it was good. You're brave for getting up there and doing that sort of. Yeah, I could never do that. I'd rather just leave and not talk to anybody and have zero witnesses that have any impact in my life. So I completely understand. But I prioritized, I want to support you in whatever way I can. That being said, that negativity I'm feeling towards the gym will allow me to restart the process of rediscovering how good I feel when I do work out. I guess that's my spin on it.
I think you just hit the nail on the head, where it's like anytime you do miss a workout or whatever, you say, all right, well, I'll plan to make sure I do go to the gym. I'll definitely go to the gym next time I have an opportunity to. As long as you have that, I will do this, therefore I will do this.
Well, I've seen the play. I don't want to see it again. I get it. I get the idea. Yes.
It's very similar in the fitness community. There is a debate over holiday time on what you're allowed to do during holiday time, specifically what you're allowed to consume, where it's like, oh, I got Thanksgiving coming up, but when I go, I'm only going to eat the dry turkey, and I'm only going to eat green beans, but not the green bean casserole, and I'm only going to eat. And it's like, hey, man, live a fun life.
Yeah.
You're allowed
There's ways to do it.
You're allowed to have pie.
Yeah.
Like, just eat the carbs, man.
There's also joy in the exercise. There's joy in being fit. I think that the video of the dude, the powerlifter guy, that guy looks happy as hell. That guy looks fun as hell.
He was so proud of himself.
Yeah, you could
He
see
was
his
proud of
face
himself.
when he was like,
His friend was proud of him.
his friend, like that's the thing. I want to just feel proud of myself.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna I never want to eat another soggy French fry. So if I'm going to be proud, I want to be proud of this thing that I'm doing. My structure is different than your structure of I have a cheat day. So on those days, really the cheat is from guilt. I don't want, you know what I mean? Like I'm eating all this stuff. I don't feel a shred of guilt about it because of all of the work I've done to earn it. So this is a joyful day. This isn't a me feeling shameful. What's the point of that? I don't want that. So like the idea that you can have a very live the life you want to live by remembering that it's not, it is what it is. It's what I make it, you know? It's it's how I see it. It's, the never eat a soggy French fry. I mean, I fucking love that so much. I really enjoy it.
Thanks, man.
Because you can pull from it so much. Why would I be in a shitty position that like if I would have been at my wife's play and just been like, ugh, I guess I gotta do this now. That's not good for nobody. I would choose not to if I was going to be like, hey, I don't really think that's my thing. Like if I had to make my wife sit through my D&D sessions, that's not fun for me either. It's like, oh, I would really like, it's like, oh, I would love for you to be into it, but I'm not going to like drag you to do something, which is again, like a choice. I could be like, hey, we're doing D&D this time. I don't like it. I know, but just do it for me. Well, now everybody's mad.
Yeah.
Now everybody's mad. So again, it's like make your choices and prioritizations so that you can feel the joys when you are doing the thing that you'll answer for later.
Yeah.
But now it's good.
I did legs this morning, and tonight I'm going
Rest
to
in peace.
Yeah. Tonight I'm gonna go to the San Gennaro Festival in Little Italy. So
baby, build up the calorie factory, burning factory, then load it with calories. It's so synergistic. It works together.
But if I was like, oh, I'm gonna stay home because I don't want to be tempted by the food, and it's like I just missed out on a life experience.
Right? Yeah. San Gennaro Festival is super fun. Go hang out with all the Italians.
Hey.
Go speak like hey over here. But yeah, that sounds. Is that for your mind, your body, or your community?
Ooh, that's all three. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about it. Thank you everybody for watching. We're going to dismount the way we always do, where we talk about what we're looking forward to in the week and how we're going to benefit our body, our mind, and our community. Will, last week you said you were going to try to be productive on your rest days. How did you do, and what are you planning to do this week?
I was not productive on my rest days because I was so burnt out, but I acknowledged that I was burnt out. So I didn't feel very similar to the other, whether going to gym or eating terrible food. You got to admit when you're burnt out, you get the CNS fatigue and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So it was like, all right, this week's a wash. Let me
take the L, move on.
Yeah. So, but this week I literally have off. So I'm like,
what's your body plan?
Body plan is I have those boxing credits, so I'm going to take go to boxing three times this week. I'm also going to, like I said, I'm going to do 15 minutes of cardio after every single weight session, because also that cardio does boost your mental. Hey, I got the runner's high and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So.
You'll start to look like Dave Bautista. Have you seen him lately?
Oh yeah.
He's slimmed down so much. We should talk about that. We'll talk about that next week because there's a lot to be said there because of Dr. Mike also was claiming that he wanted to slim down too. I think that's an interesting approach to everyone's trying to slim down, but going from huge muscle mass to slim is very different than people who are morbidly obese going to slim.
Yeah,
I feel like that's interesting. For my body goals for last week, active on work days. That was the thing that I wanted to try and go to the gym when I was working. I didn't do that, but you know what I did do? I was banging out push-ups and squats on my shift.
Ooh.
I would go to my desk. I felt it. I felt like I was like, nah, I need to do something. And I started banging out push-ups. I was up to 50 push-ups, well, incline, like on the desk.
Yeah.
50 push-ups. I did a 20, also, overnight shift. It helps you stay awake. And 50 squats. And I was like, hey, that's a workout. That counts.
100%.
That totally counts. Huh?
Yeah, 100%.
That totally, and I was like, hey, that counts as being active on work days. So I did that. I think I'm going to continue to do that to really not feel, and then that feels like just a general, staying awake, active, keeping your body moving. And then I think I'm going to focus more on, I don't want to hurt my back, but I want to focus more on weight training a little more aggressively for heavier weight.
Ooh.
I want to do a little more damage. I think I've reached that like a weird, although I've been out for a week. Let me reset. You know what? That's a better way to say it. I'm going to reset with the goal to try and do heavier weight.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a reset week with the goal for heavyweight.
Yeah, look at you. Yeah, good. Progressive overload.
I mean, I want to get like that powerlifting guy inspired me. I want to be strong again. I feel like I've weakened a little bit, and like I used to feel stronger, and now, like, whether I am or I'm not, I was stronger for sure, but I used to feel the day to day a little more stable, a little more sturdy, a little more powerful. And I want that again. I want that. I may have to buy bigger pants because my ass and thighs will grow so quickly. I was looking at old pictures of me in high school when I was talking about how I was talking about on the What's Up Bro podcast about how in high school I was 290. And someone was like, I don't believe you. And I'm like, man, I was buying 44 waist pants because my legs wouldn't fit, because all I did was squat and bench at football practice. I weight training for football. So my butt and legs were ginormous.
Yeah.
And I found pictures where I'm like, oh, look at how thick of a boy I was. I was so thick as a teen.
I recently switched to athletic fit jeans because
yes, those were a lifesaver when they introduced them.
Oh my god, yeah, it's like, oh my thighs don't destroy the inside of the crotch anymore. Yeah. This is nice.
I'm not stretching them out. I don't feel constricted around the thigh area. Well, you said for your mind last week, you said you don't be the professional. I don't remember what that meant. Don't talk over your own thoughts is what I wrote.
Oh yeah, don't be a professional. Don't think you're an expert in everything. Yeah. Be willing to accept new ideas. Yeah, I think I was pretty successful in that.
Yeah, great. What's your mind goal for do you feel like the boxing and the cardio and the changing up of your
fitness I think the whole idea of like recalibrating of like getting back on the track or jumping back on the wagon or whatever it is, of like just having an even keel to myself where I'm not overstressed, overworked, over anxious, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like using the tiredness that the cardio gives you to energize your balance.
Yeah,
because you do gotta like work towards that balance. It's not something you could just achieve. It's an intentional balance.
Yeah.
I said I need to recognize the obsession and use discernment. I think that was something we talked about last week, where I was like getting like obsessing over the wrong things and all that stuff. I think that I abandoned that pretty quickly. My obsessions changed with the medication that I'm on.
Oh yeah.
So like that hyperfixation that was happening on the low dosage of the medication, like the microdose of the Adderall, it was not enough, and it was causing my brain to just kind of really hyperfixate. I think that's helped. Leaning into the crutch or the support that the medication gives me, I think is going to be vital for me.
Yeah.
As much as I want, like, it's a tool, right?
Yeah.
Leaning into that, I feel like will be beneficial. Like leaning into all the ADHD stuff. Not stuff. What's a better word to like leaning into all the ADHD treatment Like
Mhm.
there's the thinking, the acting, the intentionality, the medication, the just kind of not fighting the process
Mhm.
of the ADHD. I really felt the difference this week with the higher dose medication. So I want to kind of like ride the wave. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you gotta break in your new shoes, buddy.
Ooh, yeah, breaking them ADHD shoes. And for the community, last week I said, don't be a bad guest in other people's lives. I think I've done a good job, and I struggle. I don't have a lot of lives in which I get to be a guest because I'm always working, or it's just me and my wife. And you know what? I think I want to invite other people to be guests in my life. I'm going
Oh,
to throw a dinner party. I'm
that's
going
a
to do some invite others to be a guest in my life.
mm,
Because I work, you know, you know, there's only so much. Your work friendships are so very specific to
yeah.
your work environment. That's kind of in my job. It's also kind of like we're dealing with other people's lives so much. So I guess I was a good guest to the patients' lives that I'm
Yeah.
interacting with, but I want to invite people to be a guest in my life. I want to, you know, I want to do friend things that don't involve work and
Yeah.
or this, you know, like unfortunately digital distance, you know.
Yeah.
Last week you said, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say bicoastal besties.
Bi-coastal besties. I mean, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I love that we can do this, but I also hate that we have to do this.
Yeah.
I want to just hang out in a room where we could like high five when someone says something funny. That's the equivalent of my like, yeah, man, high five. Last week you said you wanted to do more people watching, and you were have curious conversations. When you have conversations, people be curious in the conversation. How do you feel like you did? Did you watch people? And were you curious in conversations?
I was. In fact, my sister-in-law, my brother's wife, visited, and you know, not to say we're not close or anything, but you know, I only see her on holidays and when I come down to visit and that kind of thing. So it's like, oh yeah, I got to be inquisitive and ask her opinions on things, and you know, she grew up in Germany, so it's like, you know, you get to
it's
learn
like
about a different culture. And
it's like, I hate that I had this thought, but you're like interviewing a guest on a podcast. Like I hate that that's the way I process things, but it's also like it does add a context to like, oh, I'm just learning about people. Like it's just no ulterior motive, just to have a chat, you know?
Yeah.
That's great. What's your goal for this week?
For this week, community. Oh man.
Because I think your focus now this week is probably more about you, really. Like,
yeah, I wonder if community is not having community, where it's like, hey,
recognizing, when
sometimes it's okay to be a hermit and isolate and focus on yourself.
Well, focus on yourself, I guess, with the intent to then recharge your batteries to be the right person when you do want to interact with community.
Maybe I'll phrase it in the way that put the air supply on your own face before assisting others.
Yeah. Put the oxygen mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on the planes. On yourself first. Yeah, that's great. All these, again, these are subjective to us and our lives. If you are watching this live, hello, thank you for watching, and please feel free to share your goals for the week in the comments. If you are, these are subjective to us. Take from it what you will. The same way you take the never eat a soggy French fry for yourself. What does that mean to you? That you get to choose that. That's a kind of the whole point. But we hope this has been a good show for you guys, and you guys get to enjoy sharing this with your friends. Like, share, and subscribe. Form your own little communities. Do this for yourself. Get on a group chat with your friends and start talking about the benefits of your life. This is like a fight club when they start their own little regional fight clubs. We don't mind. This is decentralized self-improvement, baby.
We're a free franchise, baby. Just
free franchise, man. Just
we're not branding this. We're not trademarking any of this.
Call it whatever you want. You think of a better name than Collateral Benefit, use it. It's all about improving your life and the people around you. If you're listening to this in the future, how is it? Do we have flying cars yet? If you're listening to this in the future, thank you so much for watching and listening on whatever platform you're doing it. Like, share, and subscribe. Also, you can follow us at Zeros on Heroes on all social media platforms, I think. Or did we get rid of X? I think we abandoned X a while ago. But either way, you can Facebook, YouTube. You can watch all the replays. We're live on Twitch also, at Zeros on Heroes on all social media. I'm at Mike Mercadal on everything. At William A. Watkins, with or without the one, depends on the platform. I think Instagram is with the one.
Instagram's with the one, yeah.
Yeah. And if you want to ask any questions, we had some we did have a question I wanted to get to. Never mind. We'll get to it next week. zerosonheroes@gmail.com. And if you have a question, concern, or some sort of anything that involves your body, your mind, or your community that either you want help with or you would like to share a success, that's something that we also encourage. Send us an email. We like it so much to hear what you guys are doing. And I think that's it. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about before we go?
I did want to say you're looking really good, bud.
Just trying to look like you. I'm just trying to look like you. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Remember to go out and be heroic.
Hey, be heroic, everybody.
Be heroic.
Hey.